But it's like sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, here's where I am, here's where I'm going. How am I gonna get there? Hey Blossoms, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lauren and I create wellness and lifestyle content for flourishing blossoms just like you. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you stay tuned, give me a like, comment, and even a subscribe if you're interested. But without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and get straight into this video. I feel like this video is really tea. I don't even know if a lot of my subscribers know that I smoked or that I stopped smoking. But yeah, so I just really want to go ahead and get straight into it. So before I even start, I want to say that if you feel any type of way about me calling my personal experience with smoking weed an addiction, I really encourage you to look within yourself, ask yourself, like, why do I feel some type of way about that? And even consider if maybe you do have a similar relationship or addiction with weed that I once had. I feel like I used to get a little touchy when people used to call it an addiction too, because I didn't feel like I was addicted. Because I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people say it's not an addiction, but my personal experience with it, I can label that as addiction, but that's just me. I also wanted to mention that just because I'm saying that I have eliminated my addiction to weed does not mean that I'm anti-marijuana, anti-smoking, or that I'll never smoke again. I have abstained from weed since June of 2022, saying that I'm done with it, but I definitely have cured myself from the addiction, and I want to talk to you guys about how I did that. So before I speak on how I did it, I definitely want to talk about my relationship with weed and how much of a smoker I was. I feel like a lot of people may or may not see me as a smoker, so I think telling you guys about my story with weed would definitely be helpful. So I started smoking weed in 2016. I was in a relationship, and the person I was in a relationship with was a heavy smoker. So I had tried it, of course, previously, but never really to the point where I was smoking like all day, every day, or just linking up with people just to smoke. But when I was in that relationship, we were smoking like all the time. It was cool, we were young in high school. Like it's like sneaky. Like I liked having to, like, sneak out of the house, not sneak out of the house, but like go out, you got to spray a whole bunch of perfume, whatever, it's like cool. I went to college in 2016 too. So at that point, it's real sneaky because you can't smoke in the dorms or nothing like that. So it was just fun, whatever. So in 2017, my boyfriend at the time, who I was smoking with, he ended up passing away. And like I said, he was a heavy smoker. And so my relationship with weed completely transformed at that point, because I kind of felt like, he's staying alive through me. Like, I'm going to keep smoking. Like, I will never stop smoking. Like, he was a smoker to the point where at his services, his funeral, there was like a weed flower. Like, how there's flower arrangements? Like, it was in the shape of a weed flower. Like, heavy smokers, babe. We was out here really doing that shit. So I was such an accomplice at that point that I remember, like, in 2017, I couldn't even roll up still. Like, I didn't really roll my own blunts until he passed, like, truthfully. And when I did roll before then, it was like terrible. So of course at that point I grew a huge trauma bond to smoking weed. I'm talking like every day, smoking like blunts on blunts on blunts, backwoods joints, whatever I could get, dab hits, a rig, anything. And at that point, of course, I was still in school. It was becoming a more of a healing factor for me. I ended up having to drop out of school, going back home into the same environment with people that I would always smoke with all the time. So then it got even worse. My first year of school, I wasn't smoking that much because, like I said, you can't smoke in the school. But when I dropped out, babe, and I wish like I was comfortable enough to show y'all proof, but just see it like this. Every single day I go on Snapchat, it's a memory of me smoking, like every single day. It's too much. So I would say that went on for like every single day for a very long time until I moved to Miami. So from 2017 to 2021, when I moved to Miami, I moved here with the intentions of getting a big girl job. I have my degree. I have, I'm getting my master's degree. Like, what's up? I need a good job. So I think I came in like August. My birthday is August 28th. So my birthday I smoked, and then I didn't smoke again until I got a job, which I think actually happened to not be till October. At that point, I had just stopped smoking because I wanted to get a job. I wasn't trying to go through the stuff of like taking fake pee, taking detox, whatever, whatever. But that was like my first little test with abstinence, I guess is the name. I don't know. But that was my first test with it. But after I got a job, of course, I'm back to smoking. Mind you, I was working at a rehab. People were coming in there from weed addictions, and I'm coming into work high, leaving work high, literally. And if you watch my story time about how I thought I killed that lady and I was tweaking, I don't think I said it then, but I was high. I was high as fuck. That's why I thought I killed that lady. So yeah, and it wasn't until like around this time last year I started to really see like how unhealthy my relationship with weed was, how I was relying on it. I'm talking about I was the type have a bad day, but I know I got a roach in the car. I'm gonna smoke it after work. I'm gonna smoke it in my break, whatever. I'm smoking, 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 smoking. Okay, so like the common weed smoker, we're not thinking like, oh, this is an addiction or I'm really reliant on this substance. No, it makes you feel good. You're getting high, like cool, we're just high at this point, right? So now that you have a little bit of a view on how I was as a smoker, or what type of level I was at, I probably was smoking like 2.5 a day, which is not a lot, but it's just like the repetitiveness of like doing that, going to the plug, getting cash out, like all of that became a factor in my everyday, like day in the life of me. Like people making smoothies, no, I'm going to the plug, babe. So yeah, that's just a little bit about how I was as a smoker. Let's get into how I basically stopped smoking and why I stopped smoking. It was around this time last year, I started to really understand and get that I was more deserving of the job that I had. I worked as a behavioral technician in a rehab, and it was paying okay, and it was good, very good experience, like very, very there's no money that can say how much that experience taught me. But I was like, but I need to be getting paid more at the end of the day. So I ended up getting another job, same job, just paid more, and they required a drug test. Like I was still smoking, so I took a detox. I took this nasty ass detox. I thought I would be okay, whatever, paid like $60 for it, went in, peed. My pee looked so weird. The pee looked weird. That I knew something was up. They called me back. They're basically like, your test came back inconclusive. Can you come back and do another one? In that moment, I was so disappointed in myself. Like it was embarrassing. Like, okay, of course they're gonna let me do another one, whatever, whatever. But it's embarrassing to let weed, something that I'm paying for, stand in between me and getting a job that will pay me. Like that's weird. It felt so weird to me. Like inside in that moment, something in me switched, and I was like, bro, this is strange. Like you're changing jobs because you feel uncomfortable with the amount of money you're making, yet you're spending $60 weekly on smoking. Like this is strange. Like I was at the point where it was stopping me from a bag, so I'm like, okay, this has to change. So of course, right off the bat, I had the mindset of this has to change. So now getting into the first thing that I did to stop my addiction to weed was changing my environment. So like I said, my main smoking era was like in undergrad and my ending like last year of high school. And so of course when I moved here, I'm post undergrad, I'm a graduate student, and I don't really have many friends here. I had one friend here from before, like my middle school life or whatever, and she doesn't smoke. I made another friend here. She doesn't smoke. So at that point, it's like we're going out and I'm doing the most. I'm the one bringing a joint, trying to smoke on the way, or like as we're walking up to the club. And it was like, no. So my environment was changing. And so, of course, naturally, I felt inclined to change because people around me weren't smoking. And I think that's key. Like, if you're in a place that you've always smoked in and that people are always smoking, and the first thing that y'all do is like, oh, what's up? Let's wake and bake. Oh, what's up? Let's smoke before we go to the movie, smoke before we go here, here, and there. Like, that's your major key, is if everyone around you is doing it, I can see how you would be addicted. So you need to change that. And it's not a matter of changing your friends, but maybe getting into more pro social activities, meaning go to the movies without smoking. Go to the, do stuff without smoking before. It's okay to be sober, I felt like I had got to the point where my high was sober. And to me, like, that was not okay at all. Like, that's never going to be okay for me. So the first thing I did, which I didn't do this because I was smoking weed, stop smoking, but it just happened to be my environment changed. And once I realized that that was something that made it easier for me to stop smoking. But I still had temptations around me. At the time that I had decided to stop smoking, my cousin was living with me and she's smoking in the house like every day. So it just it wasn't just the environment change of the people around me. It was also all of these factors. And I really want you to keep that in mind. So let's say, okay, you can't change your friends and your environment. You're stuck where you're at. Don't worry. The next thing that I wanted to talk about that was a factor in me stopping smoking was like, I started aligning myself with my goals. So I started really envisioning myself like way down the line and like what she looked like and like how she was gonna get there. And it just stopped making sense to me. Like there was no, if I'm gonna have this business, have this degree, have this job, have these clients on the side, when am I smoking? You know? And of course you can make excuses. Of course, there's always gonna be time to smoke. Literally, you could be smoking right now while you're watching this. There's always going to be time to smoke. But at the same time, do you want to continue to keep making time for that? So when I looked at my goals were to get fit in the gym. My goals were to get a new job. And my last goal was to like really focus, like having an inclined sense of focus where I'm just dedicated, like saying, I wanted to look back and say, I really put my all in school this year. I really put my all in my relationships this year. I really put my all in my business this year. Right. And so when I perfectly aligned with those things, I was like, smoking has no space here, because the only thing that it was making me do was get sleepy. And yeah, I feel good for a little bit. It's funny, shits and giggles for real, like shits and giggles. But that's all. We're not making no money like this. And so, again, this is my personal experience. I was a lazy high. A lot of people are productive highs. I love that for you. I love that for you. You're productive smokers. Like you get up, you do this, that, blah, blah, blah. Love it. Love that for you, babes. But most of us are not. And I think that we should all like get really serious like about that. Like align yourself with your goals. And let's say, okay, if your main goal in life is to have a dispensary or to be a weed influencer or a connoisseur or a drug dealer, then it aligns. But get into alignment with yourself. I want to say I got into an alignment with myself and what I wanted, and it was just literally no space for everyday smoking weed, period. The next thing that really kind of woke me up, and I was like, okay, how am I going to stop? Because I would still have cravings. Like I would still be like, okay, I can just get an edible, or I can hit like a pin, or blah 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 blah, whatever. The next thing that really like woke me up was the fact of like, it's not good for my body. Like I'm trying to get into the era where I'm treating my body as a temple, which it is. And smoking, like, come on now. Like, no matter what you say, smoking is not good for your lungs. It's not, I'm sorry. It might not be super bad, like something like nicotine or tobacco, but it's inhaling anything, period, is not going to be super good for your lungs, especially if it's not like an herb that's known for like mucus, like getting off mucus or anything. If not, it's going to just continue to add to that. So becoming aware to the fact that this is just a maladaptive behavior really helped, especially because even though it's just weed, I was always a swisher girl or like a wood girl. I only got into like papers when I got like when I was damn near about to stop smoking anyways. So, when you clean off a backwood, you literally, when you're rinsing it, you're patting it down, seeing all that tobacco, and you know that that did not all come off. So that's getting into your lungs. So when I started like every single time thinking about that, I was just like, no, I'm good on it. Next thing that I got very intentional about was replacements. I don't know why I just did that, but replacements. So if I'm not going to smoke, what am I going to do that's getting me so excited, like smoking. Because I'm not gonna lie, like you get excited to smoke, like you're about to roll up, like that's a good feeling, right? So my alternatives became the gym. I was working out a lot last year, not as much as I see myself doing this year. Like this year, I'm going way harder. But last year was the first year since like high school that I was in the gym at least at the bare minimum 3 times a week, you know? And that became exciting to me. Like, you have to understand there's so many other hobbies, so many other things that are going to become very exciting to you. So I got into protein shakes, pre-workout, the gloves for my hands, weights at home, yoga mats. There's so many things that made me excited about working out that it was like I don't even think about smoking, you know? And if you're saying that you're smoking to help you go to sleep, I promise you, start working out an hour before you're going to go to bed. You're going to be tired. You're going to get sleepy. Like, there's just so many alternatives, as well as CBD joints. So I was doing that for a little. I was even smoking like hookah, and I was smoking vapes. I'm not gonna lie, like the vape epidemic is just as bad out here. It's worse. Actually, let me not try to downplay that. The vape epidemic is very much so worse than people smoking weed. And I think when I had stopped smoking, I was around so many vapors at my last job that I was vaping, but I always kept limits on myself. So I only vaped at work, period. I never bought my own vape, period. And I'm only speaking for 2022. So if you knew me like before then, of course, like things might be different. But for 2022, and I think that's another good point that I hadn't even thought of for smoking weed. If you're just specifically trying to like break the everyday habit, start putting limits on yourself, right? So you don't smoke after 7 or before 12, or you don't smoke on the weekdays, you only smoke on weekends. Start small. You don't have to just like go cold turkey, which I went cold turkey, but that's a mindset thing. I had the mindset, and like I said, my money was at stake. I wasn't willing to keep fucking with my money like that. But if you don't have those restrictions and you just want to start changing your lifestyle, then just put small limits to yourself, you know? Um, and like really my last thing was, regardless of all of these little tips, whether that's aligning with your goals, what else did we talk about? Aligning with your goals, alternatives, the health reasons, and then changing your environment. Regardless of all those, at the end of the day, it's mindset. It's mindset. Okay? If you can't look yourself in the mirror and be like, be for real, then you're not gonna stop smoking weed every day. You're not. Because to me, I got to that point where I'm like, bro, you're literally putting so much time and effort to getting high, which once you get high, you're unproductive. What's the point of steady getting high and then later on you're crying, you're saying like, oh, you're not achieving your goals, you're not getting this, you're not getting that. Like, BFFR. Be for real. Like, seriously, you have to be willing to change the way you think and change your relationship. Like I just told you guys, I was trauma bonded to smoking weed heavy. And the relationships that I had with people smoking weed, they were all trauma bonded too. So we had this big old gang of people relying on smoking weed, and it was the shit. You know what I mean? It was really the shit. We was really out here doing that. But it's like sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, here's where I am. Here's where I'm going. How am I going to get there? You know? And maybe for you, it's not stopping smoking weed. Maybe it's not. But for me, I know that my life tremendously changed once I stopped smoking. And once I encouraged the people around me to ask themselves, like, hey, why do you feel like you have to smoke? Address the problem, because I feel like a lot of times we're running away from the thing by smoking. And the thing is not always that scary, honestly. The homework assignment that you say you're going to do right after you smoke, just do it right now. It's not hard. And then maybe treat yourself to it. There's ways to be a healthy weed smoker, for sure, for sure. But I think a lot of us are in a very unhealthy relationship with weed, and she's toxic. Like, she has a very good grip on you, or me, or us, whatever, you know? Like, I never want to make these videos and make y'all feel like, you know, I'm preaching to you and blah, 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 and I never been in that situation. Because I have. And I know that when I was with her, like, we was locked in. Ain't no switching up. Like, we were locked in. But at the end of the day, like, I have places to go and she's not going there. You know, like smoking weed every single day, bro, multiple times a day, just being high. you know, not knowing how you feel sober, not healthily addressing those feelings, it's just not good. So to wrap it up, if you kind of lost focus there for a second, because I think I did. The things that I did was I changed my environment. I aligned with my goals, my higher self, my future self. Um, I got alternatives. I got addicted to the gym. I got addicted to just being open minded and thinking clearly, which leads me to I changed my mindset and I considered the health benefits and like whatever. Okay. So consider doing those things if you find yourself in a place where you're smoking constantly, you know, test it out. I don't know. But like I said, it has significantly changed my life, and I think that it can change yours as well. If you guys like these talk with me videos and hearing more about my story or the things that have got me to where I am and are encouraging me, definitely let me know because I can do a lot of talking videos, just encouragement, anything like that. So just let me know. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.